This is a show about stepping out of your comfort zone. It's about leaving the main quest line for a minute to see what you're made of. It's about learning who you are, stretching yourself, and getting in touch with old friends. We're setting off on a journey, and we want you to join us.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another episode of Side Quest. We go on a journey. You tell us what you want us to do for a week. We do it. We come back. We report on it. Not only that, we throw you in the sidecar of our little tricycle, and you ride along with us. It's me, Steven, joined as always by the wonderful Jacob.
Woo woo!
And he, Travis.
Hello.
Remote Michigan correspondent Travis. We're all here to talk about what we did in the last week. It was a good one. You guys voted for reconnecting with old friends. Jacob, what was reconnecting with old friends all about?
I don't know, Steven. Reconnecting with old friends?
It seems like a pretty obvious goal there.
Yeah, we did have a couple of guidelines, a couple of guardrails here that we wanted to try to put up for this one. If they were caustic or if it was causing you mental strife to reconnect, then please don't do that. But for the most part, it was if you had somebody that you had been a part of your life for a long period of time, and maybe you've just lost that connectivity, reach out. And so we did this past week. And I hope nobody just went on Facebook and said, "Ooh, here, click high school buddy. Hope you're doing well. Bye." Click. I hope it was more of a meaningful, maybe a text message that turned into a conversation or something like that. But that was kind of the goal, is to spend a little bit of time loving on some people that you haven't seen and talked to in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely one of those, like, you never know what you're gonna find when you lift up the rug to see what's been under there for a while. But hopefully everyone experienced some good positive interactions with people that they have missed fondly. Travis, I'd love to hear your take, how your journey went. What were you thinking going in, and how did it end up?
So going in, I had a plan of a couple of people that I was going to try and get a hold of. And one is my friend Jerry, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a hold of him. He's just busy guy. Works all the time, and we just weren't able to connect beyond, hey, how you doing? And he didn't even have time to respond to that. That's just who he is. Another friend of mine, kind of the same story. He responded, but he works in construction. He's a carpenter, and the housing market here right now, the demand for housing is insane, and so he works all day, every day, constantly. So it just didn't work out to connect. So I ended up having to kind of audible a little bit, go with the spirit of things, but not the letter of the law. So what I did, and this actually worked out really well, and it was a great time, is I reconnected with a friend of mine who I speak to occasionally, and I had actually spoken to probably 3 weeks prior. Um, but it was a friend of mine from high school, one of my oldest friends. And what was great was we got to really sit down and reconnect over some art and some projects and some things that we used to talk about quite a bit and haven't been able to for a long time. And also both of us getting to reconnect with that, especially her, as my friend Claire, getting to kind of reconnect with some of her artwork and photography that she used to do a lot. She's been wanting to do that. So she has been wanting to work some more visual elements into things, video wise and audio recording. So she wanted to kind of tap my brain for some of that, some advice on how to go about it, or some ideas. So we sat down, had some coffee, and just talked. She played some like recordings off of her phone of her reading some of her poetry that she's been writing recently. We talked a lot about some of the photography stuff that she's done and how to incorporate that into a video without it just looking like a Ken Burns documentary, because she hates that. And and so it was really great, because it's someone that means a lot to me. Has been a good her and her husband both have been great friends of mine for more than half my life, and they live in my town, and I don't see them often enough, and I'm trying to fix that. And so this was a good step towards that, of like just taking the time to see them more often. They're he's a workaholic, and she kind of recedes into herself a lot. So it's hard. And plus they have two kids. So it's like,
There's the ringer.
but it was really really great to connect on that kind of a level, not just the surface level of, hey, how you doing, how are the kids, how's the constant fixing of your 105-year-old house, um, to actually reconnect over a thing that used to be something that we talked about a lot, which was the photography and the poetry, and then getting some ideas of ways that she could take and get a good recording of her poetry, audio in her voice, and then add video elements to it, whether it's her lip syncing reading it, that she can cut between, or almost music video style, like all sorts of stuff like that. So it was a nice conversation. Plus we got to sit outside at a local coffee shop, that has it actually had it was nice, there was a little seat down by a creek, um, way off, kind of sectioned off by itself. So it was just nice to sit outside in the shade, and do that. So
That sounds glorious.
yeah, it was quite nice.
Is this one of those things where you think you'll end up doing it more often, or is it one of those wishful thinking, like we got together this once and you text somebody, you're like, we should do that again, and then you never do it? Do you think this is going to be one that continues?
I think so. I think because the ideas that were getting floated around, plus it's good for all three of us, both Claire, her husband Mark, and myself, to connect and spend time together, because they're really important to me. They're basically family,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, we let things like life get in the way. So I'm going to be making a very concerted effort to not let that be a one off, and to see them more often. I work from home, which helps, and it's easy for me to kind of get away. They both work remotely, and they have a little office space that they rent, so that they don't work out of their house anymore, because that was becoming problematic. So that kind of helps too, because it's an easy spot to just go and hang out and chat with them in between online meetings and things like that. So
Yeah.
What about the actual quest itself? Is that something that maybe you would think about doing again, where you're going, okay, I want to reconnect with somebody else now?
I
Is that something you want to pursue, or is that something you're like, if I feel led to, then maybe, but not.
I mean, I could see it happening. I don't know how often. I don't think it would be something that I would do all the time, just because most of the important people that I need to talk to, I find a way to stay in contact with. It's rare that I have. I mean, the two that I wanted to talk to initially, Jerry and Mitch, are probably the two that it's the hardest, and it's just because they work so much. They're both in construction. He's a carpenter. The other guy works in excavation. So when the weather is nice, they're just not to be found.
Yeah.
Like they're
Well,
so
and
busy working.
the marketplace right now is just
Yeah,
stupid everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in a small town Michigan or a big town New York.
yeah.
It's just nuts.
But I could see it being something that I think about and maybe do once or twice a year, just just to reconnect with some people, because there
Yeah.
are a few people that I just don't see often enough. Or like my cousin, Eric, who lives in New York. I haven't seen him or talked to him in almost 2 years now. The last time I saw him was when I was in New York City, and it was great to talk to him. But him being in New York and being a musician and working constantly, and me being here, it's tough. So yeah, I could see that happening, but it wouldn't. It would be something I do once or twice a year, maybe.
That's awesome. I'm glad that it turned out well for you, at least in one respect, even though you couldn't get in touch with a couple of other people you were hoping for. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. As far as my journey, I'd like to discuss the topic of asynchronous communication, because
All right then.
yes, because as a parent and as friends, knowing I have friends that are also parents that also work, communication is hard. Breaking away for 30 minutes to an hour to spend time like in the middle of the day while your kids are awake and your wife is home from work, etc., makes it very difficult to actually get time to chat. Like a text message here and there seems fair, but I mean, so I had intended to call up my buddy Josh, who I haven't talked to in a while. I intended to call Patrick. I didn't get around to that one, but I did. I did ring up Josh by way of Marco Polo, which is an app that you can have on your phone where you can send somebody a quick video and they can respond. And Josh and I have done this probably a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that. And I just like, you know what? I'm gonna just see if he still got this thing. So I called him up, and sure enough, he was out with his kids at Dairy Queen, and after that, he was taking his kids to get a haircut. And he's like, I don't really have any time to chat. Maybe this weekend, we can call each other up and get to see each other. But I will say this about just reaching out, like the mere fact of reaching out and seeing his wonderful smiling face, because he's just the top notch human being that I just love dearly. Lit up my day something grand. Like just to see somebody go back and like, hey, sir, look where I am. I'm out with my kids. Everybody say hey to Mr. Steven. I'm just like, I love this guy. All those emotions of like all the fun chats and stuff we've had just come rolling back. But he's one of those people. He's just one of those personalities that you sit down to talk to, and there's no airs. There's no like you don't. There's no face he's putting on. You're just gonna get him. It's kind of like Ashley. We love Ashley to death because when you meet her and you're a new person, you get the full Ashley. There's no pretending. And I love people like that. I love that genuine nature, particularly when it's a kind and genuine and wonderful nature. And that's who Josh is. So I'm going to call him up this weekend and chat with him anyway when we've both got more free time. But I also do have another buddy of mine. We're actually having dinner on Saturday. So it would be kind of weird. I'm like, should I call him up and then like just to chat before we chat? Like it felt like I don't know if I should do that. I did have a little bit of anxiety over that, which was weird, and I shouldn't have that. Like that's strange. But I don't know too if it's like here I am, geriatric millennial, just used to texting and FaceTime and like, texting people, hey, are you doing something? No one like just calls people out of the blue. I did call one person. I forgot about this. I called my buddy Dave because I mentioned I was going to call Dave, and I called him out of the blue, and he has Google Assistant, so I had to talk to his Google Assistant first. And I was like, Dave, pick up the phone. It's Steven. I miss you. What are you doing? And I didn't get him. He didn't pick up the phone. And that's the second time in probably a couple years I've tried to call Dave and couldn't get him. So I don't think he loves me anymore, but I've got him on Hangouts, so I'm going to harass him there.
He still loves you. He's a busy dude.
He is probably
he's the free world.
Yeah, he's probably the workiest worker I've ever met in my life. Like even when he wasn't working, he had a side job where he was working installing security cameras at McDonald's of all things. They had a contract with McDonald's everywhere, and that's what he did after work, told all night long. But Dave is the weirdest, also wonderful human being that I was really looking forward to talking to that I didn't get to hook up with. So I'm bummed about that. But I'll try again. I'll keep trying these people until I'm satisfied. But I think in the spirit of like doing that whole reaching out bit, like whether they responded or not, people responding was not a stipulation of this. If you did your best to get in touch with them, you did what you could to get in touch with them. It was good to have caught one of them in Josh and chatted with him for a bit, even over Marco Polo, just for a few minutes, just to be like, hey man, what's going on? That was great, and to have it received in a positive manner, like, oh snap, I haven't talked to you in forever, I'm excited about this. That's like that's a wonderful two-way, though asynchronous. It's a good way to do it. Like, I don't know when you're gonna get this message, but when you do, hit me back. And to get something was cool. So that was my experience. And I would do it again. I would try to make this more of a what do you call it? An intentional thing. For sure.
Sweet.
Yeah. Jacob, how did yours go?
It went okay. I mean, there were a couple of things that I had in the works already that made this task a little bit easier. I went on a hike with a buddy of mine that I hadn't actually seen in too long, one on one. I'd seen him around a couple of times, and we had chatted a few times, but one on one, there's a different connection. So we went on a hike, and we were able to spend 30 minutes with William, and he was able to spend 30 minutes with William, and we were able to chat about some things that we haven't been able to catch up on in, I don't know, a year and a half. So that was nice. I mean, that was good. We had some family come in this weekend, so I feel like that was also a cheap moment. So I got to see some family that we haven't seen in the better part of a year. So it was good to connect with them and spend some quality time with them. Um, Text messaging, I feel like was the appropriate route to go, especially rather than cold calling. I just wanted to see what people were up to, and the funny thing was, and Stephen, sounds like it was your experience too, is if they didn't respond back, then oh well, you can't really do much about that. And so I did send out a couple of text messages where I never really got any response back. But I'm sure later this week I'm probably going to get one of those responses going, oh shoot, I missed this. And then next thing you know, I'm going to be spending an hour on the phone. Um, the one thing I will mention is that if you are in different life stages, it becomes a little bit difficult, right? If you're, focused on kids and work and trying to manage a home and all of the other stuff that we get trapped in doing. If you're in the sandwich generation where you're taking care of parents and you're taking care of kids and you're in it, it's a little different situation than if you're married without kids or single without kids or going out to the bars on Friday nights and asking, "Hey, you want to come?" I'm like, nope, nope, nope. So it is interesting, some of the feedback that you do get. Um, but I think overall, I had a positive experience. It's one that I I like to do. I used to do this quite frequently. Every week, I used to send out a letter to folks. I would write a limerick and send a limerick to people. Um, and sometimes it would elicit a response, and sometimes it wouldn't. But I always tried to reach out. And what was it, about maybe 3 years ago or so? I stopped doing that, um, just because life got in the way of doing it. Um, and this really did remind me a lot of that activity that I did, and it made me want to do that more often. So that's maybe something that I might pick back up is write a little limerick, put it in the mail, and send it to somebody, and they can open it up and read some stupid limerick that I come up with, and maybe they'll get a smile on their face. So uh, yeah, that's kind of my thought about the overall challenge. But I mean, it was a
Yeah.
good one. It was exactly what I expected. I probably didn't give it the perfect effort that I probably should have, where I cold call folks or really try to get up with people, but um, it was a more dad of young kids effort.
And I was about to ask that question and see what you guys thought about it. But does it seem like when you're in college and high school and stuff, like your sphere of people around you is medium to large size, just
Pretty
because of
huge.
because of the population you're running in and the different people you see all the time and stuff. And as you get older, it seems to shrink, and the value of relationships changes a little bit, and where you want to put that energy changes a little bit. Do you guys find that I know our exercise was to reach out to people we hadn't seen in a long time, but did reaching out or trying to find those people make did it bring more to you, or are you like, I could have reached out and I could have not, and I'm the same person I was? Am I the same person coming out of the challenge as I was going in?
Mhm.
For me, yeah, I feel like I am, but it reminded me of a few things that about myself that I kind of wanted to do more often and more frequently.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not I do it, that's yet to be seen. A
Mm-hmm.
different life stage, etc. Um, but it did remind me of kind of key qualities that I used to take pride in that I've kind of let fall by the wayside a little bit. So I think for the most part, yeah. But you are right. I mean, college, right after college, I mean, the sphere that you have is just stupid big. And oftentimes they mingle, oftentimes they don't. But I mean, there are just tons of people always around. And I mean, even now, I've got usually a fairly large group, but um, it definitely has shrunk in the last year with COVID. That's for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's freaking non-existent right now with COVID. So yeah,
Yeah, oddly, I would say my sphere's actually grown a little bit in the last year, but a lot of that is more engagement with people through means like this,
yeah.
video chats or chat rooms or Discord servers, things of that nature, where I've been able to be more active in those realms, and so that's helped kind of reinforce or strength or expand the that circle a little bit. But I would say that I don't think I'm all that different in a mindset coming out of the challenge as I was going in, but I definitely is it made me think a little bit more about that because you're right. As you kind of go through life and go through different stages, you sort of prune the tree. You
Mm-hmm.
you cut off certain areas and or just section off. I mean, one thing that I have lost in the last year or so is a lot of the local people that I saw exclusively for things like playing basketball or kind of the weekend warriors that I know. Um, that's gone completely away because we haven't been able to. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
it's interesting.
I'm struggling with that. I think I'm struggling more with that than anything. I don't know if anybody knows this about me, but I am not a person who likes to sit on Zoom calls or Teams meetings or Discord chats. This is not me. It's not who I am. It's not in my DNA. It is just it to me it fucking sucks because I'm more of a person who likes to have that face-to-face visual interaction. I play off people's body language, their cues. I like to engage in conversations, and this just isn't me at all. But I feel like the last year and a half, I've forced myself into it. Hell, we met with the lawyer. By the way, a quick follow up. We met with the lawyer this past week because of the whole face your death thing. And so
Good.
we got all of our paperwork started and in place, and we're working on making sure that everything's taken care of there. And I set up the appointment about a month and a half ago, whatever. Um, and I had every intention of Ashley and I leaving and going to the office and meeting with the lawyer. It was just up the road. We chose somebody local that was close by, and all of a sudden, the day before, I get a Teams invite, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I knew exactly what it was going to be, and it was exactly what I thought it was. But there was I couldn't get a beat on the person because I wasn't in the same room. I didn't feel that same interaction. And so I think those are the kind of things that I'm really struggling with and I'm missing. And I don't get through. I mean, I love you guys. I think the world of both of you, but it's something that I don't get through that kind of interaction.
I get that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look, in an ideal world, we could set three cameras up in the middle of a table and just
Yeah.
sit around the table and live stream that and have the conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be like in a radio booth, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's
Well, even
something
not
to
even
be said.
podcast. I mean, it's work,
Yeah.
it's
mhm.
family life, it's
Oh
social
yeah,
life, it's everything. Everything's happening through remote means, and it's if it's not
it's
who you
rough.
are, it's not in your DNA. You're going to struggle with it.
There's a feedback issue with this kind of thing. And we were veering off the
Latency.
beaten trail a little bit, but there is a like you watch the late shows, like you see clips from Colbert or something, and they're talking to somebody over Zoom, and there's always this just slight awkwardness to the
Mhm.
whole thing. Like, I am going to speak so that you can speak, and there's no talking over each other. Like, and
That's
to
right.
talk over each other isn't always bad. Sometimes it's a natural cadence that just occurs, and the funnier joke wins out, and everybody
Yeah.
laughs. And I do I follow I'm a demo MC for demo days on every couple weeks after we do all our work, and there's 50 people in the room, and we all get on this call, and I like walk through it and present. Hey, this person's coming up next with this, and I can't help myself. I'm a podcaster, so I joke. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. How am I to know if most people's cameras are off? You know what I mean? And I'm sitting
Yeah.
there thinking about Colbert and Kimmel and all these guys that had to do this. Fallon, without anybody to tell them they're funny. Uh, and imagining that just dead room, it just sucks your whole soul out, and you're just
Yeah.
watching faces to desperately just catch that smirk or that cackle or whatever, and you're imagining in your head that that was a guffaw. Like they're like roll,
Yeah.
got one. You know, this has definitely made things. But on the flip side of things, it's made me comfortable enough with it that hanging out and like talking to Travis like this, even though I've never met Travis in person, Travis and I are friends. You know, like
Mhm. Yeah.
there's bits of this, and I think this kind of made me discover like there are people in my life who I have known, who I, you know, groomsmen in my wedding, for instance. Like I have known these people, I cared about them, but they've become a memory, you know, like they were very important to me at that time in my life, but I'm past where they were important. But I've replaced some of that with either tighter, closer knit friends. So I'm okay leaving that in a memory, and I don't need it back because I treasure it as it is. It's like watching Thundercats when you're 40. Like you might not come out thinking Thundercats is as cool as you thought when you were 7. Maybe you do. Maybe you love it.
Spoiler alert, it's not.
Right. Yeah. It's
Or
just
Voltron.
right. Any of that stuff. It's not. You're not the same person you were when that was in your life. So it's one of those things where you have to decide. And I'd much rather pull current people closer, I think, than reach back in the past. There's unicorns, of course, like those people that are just tried and true. You can go find them 10 years from now and you pick up like it was yesterday. Lando and I haven't met each other in like 3 years or so, but I can call him at any point, and he's my brotato. He'll always be there. But I've also expanded to Discord and stuff, and the people that I met through Dragon Con that come watch these shows. Like we have so many friends. That is like there's like 2 subsets now. There's those really tight people you keep close, and there's the Legion, which is also really tight, but in a different way. And I'd much rather nurture those things now. I think if we're coming down to what the point is of all this is, I think that I'd rather nurture my current friendships more greatly than I would like to reach back to people I haven't talked to in 2 years. But yeah, it was a cool challenge. It was a cool challenge. I had a lot of fun with
It was. There was more to think about with it than
Sure.
initially I thought.
Right.
So.
And the other thing is time is valuable.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing that I think I was reminded of this week was we only have so many hours in a day, and if you spend an hour to 2 hours on the phone with somebody or trying to connect with somebody or trying to reconnect with somebody, that's 2 hours or an hour to potentially, depending on how many people and how long and blah 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 blah, that you now no longer have to do the other things. And I got to tell you, we power pack our days full of stuff, and especially when you have kids, your day is gone before it even starts. So time is very valuable. So I think pruning the tree, Travis, you mentioned that earlier. I think, good God, that's a great analogy because that really does makes you realize who you want to maintain relationships with and who you don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think it's important to note, like, it's not always that that's a bad person or that they were always toxic or that they were always an issue. It's just like, what can I give them? What can they give me, that I need now? And that's, it's an exchange of time. I'm giving you an hour. You're giving me an hour. What are we getting out of this? Something or nothing. And that's a real stale and sanitary way to think about it, but that's what's happening. Particularly on the phone. What am I stealing you away from for this half hour that I've got your ear?
You're right.
And that
And
time,
if you're driving, yeah.
yeah. I kept landing on the phone for an hour and a half while I was driving. And finally he was just like, dude, I got stuff to do. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Because he was just so nice. He did what I had him. And when I get him, because he never answers his phone, I won't let him go, which is probably why he doesn't answer his phone when I call.
Yep. Now I understand.
Yeah,
I was actually driving home today from work, and I called Steven. I left an awful voicemail.
yeah. Did you?
Something about nuts. Yeah, I did. And actually, Steven, I'll go ahead and tell you what the voicemail says. Do you want to know what your nuts and my nipples have in common?
What's that?
They're both decorative. My son
Oh,
points that out to me all the time.
oh, you're terrible. See, this is why I didn't pick up the phone. This is why I couldn't do it. I was having a moment. Today was a hard day. But let's move on to the feedback. Travis, would you like to read the email we got this week from the one and only MVP?
Yeah. So once again, our MVP Amy emails in. This quest showing up this particular week was almost cheating for me. I had a birthday last Thursday, and not
Nice.
just any
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Yeah, happy
a birthday
birthday.
that ended in a zero.
Happy mega
Literally,
birthday.
yeah, literally every human I've ever met came out of the woodwork to wish me a happy birthday. My parents threw me a birthday party, which included a surprise visit from my godmother, whom I haven't seen in over a decade.
Ooh.
Now, I did my part. I carried on conversations with all these people, found out how my best friend from elementary school was doing, made tentative plans to grab drinks with my old boss. But I do feel like maybe I missed out on the hardest part of breaking the ice.
Mhm.
I think what you did was just as valid as anything
Yep.
we pulled off, for sure.
100%.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think so because in some ways it was a knowing the birthday is coming, but not knowing what's going on and then being kind of thrust into a situation where you're the center of everything and you have a bunch of people around that you haven't seen in a while, over a decade for her godmother, to be able to have the time to have that conversation. It's a lot going on. So no, I think, yeah, you didn't have to reach out necessarily to break the ice, but still, that's still doing what needed to be done. I That's a pretty good one.
You put me in a
You checked
room.
the box for me. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
bottom
Done.
line, you connected with people, you made plans to follow up, you s- chatted about what's going on in their lives, you shared what's
Hmm.
going on in yours. Obviously, you had a huge birthday. Congratulations, happy birthday! Woo woo!
Yeah.
I think you not only met the spirit, you nailed it. You hit a
Yeah,
home run.
for sure. I think you did a more challenging thing. You put me in a room with a bunch of people that I haven't seen in a little while. And I'm going to have an anxiety attack. So, like, you better catch me on the right day because I am all about quiet, calm birthday. Nobody stressing, nobody making a whole bunch of food. Just give me a cookie. I just want a
And
big
by the way,
cookie.
that really does rub off.
What's
That
that?
really does rub off. Steven, he does. He has this calm demeanor. He's just like, I just want calm. I
Yeah,
want
just
quiet. I want no stress. Let's just do the thing. Let's sit out back. Let's drink a beer. Let's play some football in the backyard with Sam. Let's
yep.
just do the thing. And this past week, I was reminded of that because we were asked our opinion about what we should do this week for family members that were coming in. And I'm like, whatever's easiest, whatever's the least stress, let's order out. I don't care.
Yep.
And I'm like, I feel like I just channeled my inner Steven.
You did. We got vetoed though. It was
We
it
did.
was we
We
got
got
vetoed
vetoed
hard.
hardcore.
Uh
Mm,
but like for me, I'm going to absorb everyone's stress. Like I think Stephanie spent like 6 hours making me a cake once and all I really wanted to do was go out and do something. Like I didn't really need the 6 hour cake. It was beautiful when it got done, but like I'm like, well, but now our day's over. Let's go do some stuff. So people like, get all excited and want to throw big parties for you. And you're like, but we could not do all that stuff that's hard to do and actually spend time together. It's like Thanksgiving on paper plates. I'll be a proponent of it until the end of time because it means that everybody's not up washing dishes for an hour and a half. You just chuck them. Who cares? I know this is a cardinal sin to some people, but Thanksgiving on a paper plate, that's money.
How else will you use your fall china?
I don't have China, Jacob.
Oh,
Can't
you
use the
will.
China if you don't have the China. All right. Well, so
that's
this
thinking
is
right there.
yeah, that's thinking. So this is our penultimate episode of the show, but that still means you get to send us some stuff
Mhm.
about how you went and what you did. So we want to hear it. Travis, what's the voicemail number?
231-486-5401.
I always have
You
Travis do
can,
that because it's his voicemail number. Feels
yeah,
appropriate.
yeah, but give us a call, leave us a message, let us know any of the quests for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was reconnecting with a friend, whether it was cooking with some non-chicken eggs or making a
Yeah.
random dish from another part of the world, whatever it is. If you participated at all, we want to hear from you. So yeah, give us a call or email us, and we do have an email address, which is what, Stephen?
Our email address is dearsidequest@gmail.com. Yep, that was a fun one to make up. And you can always join in the Discord over at twodorks.net/discord to
Mhm.
fill us in on what you think. But that brings us, guys, to the final countdown, the final quest. We're going to close those votes. And you guys have decided that for the last quest of the season, you chose the secret squirrel quest, which is to watch a foreign language film. Expand your horizons. Y'all really don't want to clean a park. Y'all are just like,
I know.
I'm kicking
You
that
are not
can
environmentalists
all
here.
the
You
way
are
down
like,
the road.
screw the world. We
Yeah.
just want to watch movies.
Other people will clean that, surely. I'm going to let them do it. I would much rather. Okay, so Amy said she picked up some stuff at the park this morning. So,
Further hammering home being the MVP of the
yeah,
She
season.
is
she's
just.
doing all of them.
I feel like she's too good for the three of us.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Have you seen her painting? It's just
I have.
She can paint.
I saw
She
it
can
last
cook.
week. Oh my goodness.
Her podcast is just off the chain. Like, I don't even know. So yeah, we're definitely not worthy. But yeah, so watch a foreign language film. We're not doing the park. So this one, we're all movie people. But most of us are watching movies in English. I think most, at least out of the three of us, most of the movies we watch are movies in English. We've had about a week to think about it since we made up this challenge. So going into it, let's just go through and talk about the movies we're considering if you got more than one. Jacob, what are you looking at?
There was this one movie on the Netflix. Um, it was a Russian film. I think it was Major Grom, the Plague Doctor. That was one that I was thinking about watching. Um, yeah, I don't know. This is an Ashley thing. She's gonna pick the movie, and I'm gonna have to watch it. And I'm really not looking forward to this one because I I'm not a huge fan of reading movies. I'm a huge fan of kind of watching movies, and if I have the subtitles on the off chance that maybe I miss a statement. Um, but yeah, I'm not really that big of a fan of foreign flicks, but we'll see.
Jacob, you want a nice cheat for this then?
I would love a cheat.
I'll give you a little cheat code. Hong Kong action film.
Oh,
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 there it is.
Jacob,
No
watch the
words, just nothing but explosions.
Watch the Protector. OMG, Tony Jaa.
There you go.
Oh
Boom,
my
right there. Because it's mostly visual storytelling anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you're set.
all right.
You watch the
None of the dialogue
Protector,
matters.
and your mind will be blown. You will not.
All right.
You will just be gripping your seat the whole time. And there is dialogue, but it's not a lot of it. It's mostly just Tony Jaa kicking people in the face.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't watch a Jackie Chan film for the story.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Police Story for the police story. I'm watching it because I know at the end of the movie he slides down a pole that's like 30 feet high in a shopping mall and
Yep.
falls through a plate glass window at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually him doing it. Like
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
watched that movie. So
I could dig some of that. But Ashley and your wife, Stephen, they get together and they'll watch some of the craziest stuff in the weirdest languages. You're like, I don't know how you two are doing this. You are amazing individuals that are much better than I am because I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I have to say, so that it is recorded for posterity. Amy, you are not allowed to watch Amelie as your foreign language film. That
There
doesn't
it is.
count.
Yeah, Og, we'd like. I think the challenge is really kind of watch one you haven't seen. I think if you hadn't seen it in a really long time, you could probably get by.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I said sure.
Yeah, but in general, try to watch something you haven't seen. Travis, and you have an encyclopedic movie knowledge. What movies are you looking at?
There's a few, but one that I'm actually thinking about revisiting because I haven't seen it in almost 20 years, and it's a French movie, but it's called Wasabi. And
All right, couldn't have guessed.
It was written by Luc Besson, but and starring Jean Reno,
Oh
and
yes.
it's about a French guy who ends up with finding out that he has a Japanese daughter, a half Japanese daughter, and he ends up in Japan. But he's like a super cop or something. From what I remember, it's been, like I say, it's been almost 20 years since I've seen it, but I remember really enjoying it. So I might watch that one. Otherwise, I'll just kind of poke around. There's some good there's some good foreign films on Netflix and some of the streaming services that I've been meaning to watch. Even going back and watching Ip Man
Oh
would be
yeah.
one that I wouldn't mind watching because I love Donnie Yen. I'm a martial arts film, Hong Kong cinema like buff. I love that stuff, and there's a lot of it that I've missed over the years because I go back and watch the same Jackie Chan ones all the time. But
You don't happen to be watching a foreign film for weight you haven't seen.
I mean, technically, but it's still an English film.
Okay.
So,
It's an English but foreign.
well, yeah, it's an English film in that it's from England.
Okay.
So it's
Well,
it's not
technically
a
that's foreign. Come on, guys.
It's a foreign language. They spell words with OUs and stuff, you know.
And they use bloody and brilliant. And oh, I was having a discussion this morning with somebody from Ireland, and they used bloody and brilliant in the same sentence. And I'm like, yes, I missed this.
I like that things are
Um,
bang on and straight
on.
away. Yeah.
It's smashing.
oh sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's bang on. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of I'm gonna peruse and look at some things like either Hong Kong cinema or there's a couple. You mentioned the Russian one, Jacob, and there was another one, but I think it's a series. It was German, and I can't think of the title now, but I know Brian Ibbett mentioned it.
Mm.
But I think it was a series, not a movie, so I might not have time to watch all of that. Um,
Yeah,
but we'll see.
that's a commitment
Mhm.
if you get into a foreign series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
whoa, the 3%. That's one that was foreign that was in Spanish. And it's a series, and I absolutely loved it. I read that thing, and it was fantastic. So if you get a chance, 3% is fantastic.
That's a
And
good
there's,
one.
I think, 2
Um,
or 3 seasons. Maybe the third season's out. Maybe I can watch that.
Could be. Amy brings up Studio Ghibli films.
Yeah.
I think you can find those in the original Japanese, and that would definitely count.
All right.
Yeah.
Those are always good to watch because the dialogue doesn't make any sense in those. Like the story doesn't make any sense in those anyway. So
You might get more out of it reading it than trying to English translate it.
actually, probably.
You probably get more substance. Um,
Well, Steven, what are you thinking?
yeah, for me, I got a few that I've actually wanted to watch that I just haven't got around to, and this might be the right motivation. One of them being Parasite, which
I
won
was just
Best
thinking
Picture last year, 2020 Oscars or
Uh,
2019, the whole year.
2019.
Years
Two
just
years
blur
ago.
together. But yeah, so Parasite was huge, and it's by the same dude who did Snowpiercer. I
Mhm.
think, pretty sure. But that was an English movie. But this is like his actual Korean film, which got like rave. Everybody that watched it was just mind blown by it. So I want to check that out. But I think if I bring this up to Stephanie, she may force me to sit down and watch Train to Busan with her.
Ashley mentioned that too.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I've
really good.
I've heard that is a quite the twist on the zombie tropes that we all know and love. That she was like, you have to watch it. So if I say I have to watch a foreign language film and she doesn't say Train to Busan, I'm probably going to have to report her as a pod person because she's been asking
Yeah.
me to watch that with her for a while.
I mean,
I
maybe
just
it's a
saw
zombie.
that.
Maybe
Yeah,
she's a
could be.
zombie.
No, I
Could she
just saw
climb?
that.
I've seen her
recently.
climb, so no, she's not a zombie. Definitely not.
Wow.
They
Then
played
clearly
it
she might
on,
still be a zombie.
the last.
The walls are up.
There you go. You're safe.
Mm-hmm.
No, Train to Busan is a good choice. They played that on the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs this past season. Which, if you want some fun, schlocky horror movies, having a Shutter subscription and watching, if for nothing else than just watching the last drive-in with Joe Bob, where he does a double feature every Friday night, and watching Train to Busan finally, like that was so good.
Yeah.
I was blown away by how much I enjoyed that.
Well, we'll have to see. Maybe I'll have 2 foreign language films in my future because I still want to see Parasite. And Guillermo del Toro doesn't have any more Spanish movies for me to watch. So, I mean, he probably
Oh
does.
yeah, because
But
you've
know.
seen
I've seen Pan's
Pan's
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Devil's Backbone?
I haven't.
That's another Guillermo del Toro.
There you go.
That's
There
a good
you
one
go. I love me some Guillermo del Toro. I'm gonna drag Jacob to see Antlers with me when it finally comes out. Wendigo.
No, let's do it. You
But,
can go see Benicio del Toro. He was in a good movie recently that I watched. What was that one? I shared it with you, Travis. No Sudden Move.
I want to
Oh,
see
yeah.
that
Oh,
so
yeah.
bad.
Oh,
see that
it's
so
so
bad.
wonderful.
Gosh.
Steven, you would dig it.
I
You would
know.
dig it, man. It is your scene.
Steven Soderbergh movies are my jam.
It is
And
your scene.
I'm ready for it. I love the way he presents things. From all the Oceans movies to Logan Lucky, which is one of me and Stephanie's favorite movies ever. I'm so pumped for that. And I love Don Cheeto. Everybody loves Don Cheeto.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't?
He's good.
Come on.
Yep.
He's great.
Well, cool. So we've got our marching orders for the next week to go find a movie. Y'all email us. Let us know what you're going to watch or tweet at us with the LOD SideQuest hashtag just to say, hey, I'm going to watch this. Maybe you should consider it. I'd love to get some ideas if we don't watch those two. Hear it from you guys. Or if I have time to watch more than one movie. Not likely, but still could happen. So let us know. If you enjoyed the show and you're having a good time with it, rate us on your favorite podcasting service of choice. Also, join us on our quests. Amy's been doing a phenomenal job sending us all her feedback on this quest. So as of right now, Amy has checked all her punch cards. More so than either Jacob or I have. We both took a free space, and Amy's like, no, F free spaces. So there'll be prizes in the running for anybody who punched all their punch cards for the quest. As next week is our final episode. We will review what movie we watched and just talk about the season as a whole and how we felt about it. So if you've been doing it with us, send over your full-on thoughts about how the show went and what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, what you'd like to see if there's a season 2, over to dearsidequest@gmail.com or leave a voicemail at 231-486-5401. And
Yes, please. We want your feedback.
we do. No vote for next week because we've already did it. Y'all have successfully completed the bracket. So we'll be back here next week to talk about everything we did.
Yep. And you guys,
All right.
I still can't believe, how did we not clean up a park? Of all of the side quests, that was the one that I was like, there's no way we're not doing that one. We are doing that one.
Mhm.
And that's the one that we didn't do. How?
Well,
I think I wouldn't have voted for it most weeks, only because it's about 1,000 degrees outside every day,
true.
Yeah.
and that's the only reason. So maybe for the fall season,
Yeah.
it'll get picked.
There you go.
You never know.
There you go. All right, y'all. Well, that's it for Side Quest for tonight. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. I finally remembered to not press the one that had the I'm going on an adventure part in it.
Look at that.
The last,
Look at
She's
last
adorable.
episode. He is just. That's so cool.
He's such a dork.
That's getting comfortable.
Yeah. it
Oh,
is.
yeah. No, that's hardcore comfortable. That's not even
Mhm.
comfortable. That's on a new layer of comfort.
Yep. If you find me like that on the couch, then that's I'm in my zone. Don't touch me.
Either that or you're 8 beers in.
Yeah. I'm
Could
still
be.
not allowed
Yeah,
to have
little
beer.
from column A, little from column B.
Yeah. I got to have one more blood
Ooh.
work to make sure my liver's okay, and then I can have beer.
Curse of the Golden Flower. That's a good one. I mean, yeah, chow you on fat. How do you go wrong there?
Jacob,
That's the thing.
if
go ahead.
you don't watch The Protector, I'm gonna drag you out for a brotato night, and you and I are gonna watch The Protector and drink beer and eat Asian food.
Okay. Then I'm not watching The Protector just so I can
Right.
make
You're,
that
you're
happen.
giving him reasons to not watch it this week.
We have such a
I'm
list.
not watching The Protector.
I've been trying to
I'm
get
not
Jacob.
watching it this week now, just so that can happen.
I've been trying to get Jacob to come over and watch Black Dynamite with me for like 2 years, and watch The Protector with me. and he just won't. I just haven't been able to get him over here to do it. Or we've had other things we've gotten together to do.
Yes, most of the time it's just other things.
Yeah.
The last movie that you and I sat down and truly watched was
The South Park
Django.
movie. Oh yeah, and
Oh, it was
Django.
South Park. Yeah, that's right.
And was Django before or after it's the Coens movie with the bandits? Oh brother, where art thou?
Oh yes, Brother, we're out there. Yeah, yeah.
Watch
No, that was
too
after.
fast.
No, that was
after.
before. But oh brother, we're out there. We're out. It was after that, I think.
That's a hard movie to say the title of. It really
Yeah,
is.
it really is.
Especially whenever
So
your tongue
I
gets in-
assume when you say Django, you mean Django Unchained and not
Yes.
Django, because
Right,
that's a very
Django
different movie.
Yes.
Yeah, Django Unchained.
Yes.
Well,
the Quentin
just-
Tarantino flick Django Unchained.
the reason I bring it up is the movie that's just Django is an old 1966